And there's Wikstrom of Treat. Welcome to 69 Face of Rock. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Um, First of all, congratulations on your new album. It's absolutely sensational.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Even after one listen, the album sounds like it's been carefully planned. In some ways, it feels like an overview of the whole Treat journey. Or what are your thoughts about that?
You're actually absolutely right about that. The thing we had in mind for this record, after doing like 9 records, this is a 10th studio album. And what do a band do when you come to that kind of late part of your career as a band? We thought that we might start like taking it full circle, take the song, some of the songs, go back in time, revisit our first years. Like let's make a timeline, like a instead of writing a book about the band, write an album about the band. So in a way, kind of that. Not that deep, maybe, but there's a storyline in some songs embedded in the lyrics that kind of takes us from day one to now.
That makes sense. The song 1985, what a great tribute to one of the best years in music and generally amazing time in life. And I was 16 years old at that time, so I lived and breathed everything you sing about.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah,
me
yeah.
about that track.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly why we did it, because for us it has a lot of significance, because 1985 was the year we had a breakthrough here in Sweden and in Scandinavia. We toured really heavily. We had a couple of singles. It was something totally new to us. It was only like, when you go out for the first time and experience things for the first time in a very, very successful way. It's a kind of a year you can't really erase from your memory. It's just that those great memories we have of. We had a lot of attendance. We broke like attendance records when we played here in Sweden. We had things that happened that year was something that we just thought, why not go back and do a song about it somehow? And let's see if we can capture that moment, because I know there's a lot of people out there that also will be able to feel the same way. So I think we really managed to do that in that song. It's one of those songs we've never done it before, going back and trying to revisit. But that year is so important in the band's history. So we thought, yeah, give it a shot. Let's see what we can come up with, and it fell into place really nicely, the whole
Yeah.
song.
Generally speaking, what was going through your head when you were completing this album?
I do a lot of songwriting all the time before I make an album, and I have more material than we use in the end, because we have a very democratic way, which is also something that you have to develop after being together for such a long time. We have a kind of a system where I threw a lot of demos to the rest of the guys, and we rate them from 1 to 5, you know. So all the songs that get the best rates are the songs we pick for an album. But luckily we have kind of the same taste when it comes. So there will be songs that will work for, like, let's say Robert to sing, because he's the singer. He has to feel the songs the right way, and the band has to feel the right way of actually performing, getting the instrumental parts together as a band. So the thing when I start with an album, I don't really know where it's going to take me, but when I actually come into the process and I work for a really long time with songs and all that, so and I can kind of see the whole picture, I it falls into place really smoothly at the end. And we also have a very good connection together with a long-time producer in Peter Manson, who's been working with us for a long time. I also throw him ideas, so I get his opinion on stuff that he thinks would work for the band the best. So
So
it's a good team.
I'm kind of curious now, what happens to all those songs that don't get picked?
But for me to know, for you to find out, I don't know. I mean, some of them songs I rework. Some of these songs I might pitch to another artist. I don't know. It happens also. But some of them songs I stayed on for a long time. I've been sitting on some stuff. I don't always write. For this album, I wrote a lot of songs because I had it just is the way I was really productive in a way, and I still try to write as much as I can all the time, not just before an album. I write when we finish an album, I start writing new songs, and what they end up in, I don't know. But I worked as a professional songwriter for a long, long time, you know, and even between this, when we quit the band in '93, and I had a very, very solid career as a songwriting producer for a lot of pop acts, and I was in the US a lot. I traveled and I worked with a lot of artists as well. So it's what I do. This is what I live and breathe.
So songwriting is like an addiction to you.
Yeah, it is. It's my. I would say it loud here because I'm at home, but you know, besides my wife and my kids, this is my biggest love. You know, so
that's a good love to have.
Yeah.
The sense of melody is ever present throughout the Wild Card. Where do you find the inspiration to continuously be so catchy and melodic?
I think actually a lot of people have told me this over the years, and that's why also I work with a lot of like I wrote. For me, a lot of the songs I write are basically pop songs dressed as hard rock songs. Maybe you can say it that way if you want to come from that. But I do like big riffs. I do like big choruses. I do like to be clear and communicate that way. I think that's a very, very big part of the Treat sound. And I do love melodies. And I don't think anyone in this band would ever like trade anything else for it. We're not a heavy metal band. We're not. We're a hard rock band. We keep the melodies in there. It's a very important ingredients in our dish. You know, it's important. It's got to be there. But to come up with ideas, well, I sit and jam, you know, guitar, piano, and whenever I get some melody line in my head that I think, oh, this sticks, I record it very easily on my phone, and you know, and if it still gets me going after listen back to it, I will try to make it into a full band demo, you know. So this is the way I work, and this is the way I've always worked. And I think listening back to what I did when I was like 17, 18 years old when I wrote, I have the same kind of way, maybe a little bit more naively thinking sometimes, but I think the whole idea was basically there when I started, and I try to keep it that way. I mean, we've changed enough the band sound when we came back with the Coup de Grace album back in 2010. We took it a notch higher, I think, as a from the production end and from the arrangements part. So. But the melodies are there. It's very important, and this album contains a lot of the whole spectrum, as I say. You know, there's a couple of heavy songs, there's a couple of soft ones, but it's all Treat. You know?
Yeah. Can you explain the title, The Wild Card?
The only way when I came up with the title, The Wild Card, was just because we called the last album The End Game. And the people thought that, oh, you guys going to be quitting now? So, and it's like, no, it's not over. We got a card up our sleeve, you know, just throw in the wild card. And so, because people were really thinking that this is the last album they're making. So it's like, it was kind of a fun thing just to throw out. And the guys in the band loved the title and said, yeah, that works. That's a great title. And then we had this illustration of this guy on the cover, and he became the wild card, you know, for us. So we're using him as, you know, as a gimmick nowadays. So he's the wild card for us to throw in there.
It feels to me that since the band reformed back in 2006, you became even better during your initial run. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I will. I think about it, the maturity of everybody in the band is that nowadays, from that moment on, we've lived a life. Everybody had like, it was a period of time where you grow as a person. And when we came back, we could come back to it and do it for all the right reasons. You know, you know, when you're young and you have managements, you have record companies, and in the 80s, everybody, you got to break through, you got to do this, you got to do that. It was always like people breathing down your neck, and it's really heavy for a young guy to have that thing hanging over him. For me as a songwriter, it was pretty tough. You know, you're not going to come up with these hit singles. You got to come up with that, and it's like, wait a minute. When we came back, we did it on our own terms. Nobody told us anything. We just wrote songs. We went out because we loved to do it. You know, it's like that became a better band.
I do agree. So the band formed back in what, 1981 by you and Robert Englund. How true are you to your initial vision that you had 4 decades ago?
We were in a band together before, because him and me, we have a very special story. We grew up in the same building.
Oh.
You know? We were neighbors from childhood, you know. So we knew each other long before we were in a band together. He's a little bit older than me, but as grown up in a family, you know, he lived right underneath me. You know, we come from the same neighborhood. We have the same values. We shared a lot of same. And when I was growing up and becoming old enough to join them to play, we thought like this. In Sweden at that time, like singing in Swedish and playing pop music was the in thing to do. Everybody was signing people doing that. And we were loving playing rock and roll, listen to Van Halen and Kiss and all those bands coming from the US and the bands from the UK also, like UFO and a lot of Thin Lizzy's and all those bands. And we'd love to do that kind of music, you know. So we just said, oh, nobody's going to sign up, but we're going to do what we love. We're going to do this. So we went down to a rehearsal room and we wrote a couple of songs, and we had a demo. And when we went through with the demo to record companies, suddenly everybody wanted to sign us. It was like we did something right, and we were on the wave of something coming in, you know. And this was what happened in the 80s, you know, when the melodic rock came in and really became a mainstream music form.
Correct, correct.
So we were really very early on in Sweden. Not a lot of bands got signed by majors. We got signed by Polygram at that time, and it was just it was meant to be somehow, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By 1986, you got to open for Queen in Sweden during their last tour, as it turned out. What memories do you have of that?
That I always think. Nowadays, when I talk to young people about it, you just discovered Queen by like Bohemian Rhapsody, you know, the movie and all that. They don't believe me. They don't believe that we actually got the chance to play with them on the last tour Freddie Mercury ever did with the band. But the thing is that we were on tour in Sweden, and we had the same. We were in a big booking agency that day was the Live Nation, and they were doing all these concerts, promoting these concerts. And they were actually. They didn't have a support act for the stadium shows in Sweden, the stadium show in Sweden. So we were booked to play another show the same day. But they asked us, do you guys want to do it? And we said, are you kidding me? Of course. That would be something you can't miss. If you get the chance to open for Queen, one of my favorite bands of all time, you know, it's something I would remember for the rest of my life. It's just one of those things, you know. So we did it, and we played in the afternoon. It was raining down, but it was a full packed stadium, and it was a great show. I mean, I've seen pictures of myself on stage, and I never looked happier. I never looked happier in a picture. I was like, this was like a dream come true. And I remember the show well. We did good, even if it was pissing rain all the time on the stage and everything. You know, it was really slippy. And but the thing is that it went well. We did good. And it's a fantastic memory to have. You know, it's one of my fondest memories as a band actually to have that show. You know, because it's so surreal. It's surreal.
Especially that it turned out to be their last live performance.
Yeah. Freddie actually got the line in the lyrics of 1985. You know, in the second verse, we actually sing about him as well, because he was the king. Yeah, because we sing about the Live Aid thing, which happened in the same year.
Oh my God, that was massive.
Yeah, and it's the line said, and then Freddie came and blew them all away. That's what the line said in the lyrics for 1980.
He sure did.
So he's how much from us, yeah.
So while you're being very successful in Europe, you never managed to break into the US market for some reason. Why do you think that was? Especially when you had all the ingredients you needed.
Yeah, the thing is, we tried really hard at the end of the 80s to actually get a solid deal in there. And our management, we were actually involved with some big managements at that time who tried to get us in. But you really needed that kind of backing to get into the US at that time, and we simply didn't get. We had some really solid success in Japan and in Germany and around Scandinavia and in Europe. So we toured over here, but for some reason we never got the chance to really go to the US and play. We had a chance way back in '86 to release an album via a smaller label, but our big label in Europe said no to that deal, and so we couldn't really. It was a lot of company politics in the way here.
Always.
So the only thing that we've done, we've been to the US nowadays a couple of times. We played in Chicago, we headlined the Melodic Rock Fest there in a couple of years back, and we did the Monsters of Rock Cruise twice, and things like that. But we haven't played solidly in the US, and we would love to.
Mm-hmm. Well, we hope to see you on the upcoming tour,
but
if possible.
Yeah, but you have to work in America also. You have to become some name, as we have in tour. We should have been there in the 80s already,
Mm-hmm.
to actually start building. But we have an audience and we have a very solid fan base. Not huge, but we have a solid fan base who's been with us all along.
Very, very dedicated base.
Yeah, very dedicated.
So finally, after 44 years together, 10 great albums, is it Back to the Future or Out with the Bang? How much longer do you see yourself doing it?
Oh, we don't make 5-year plans anymore. Right now, this is the last album. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it because we said that to ourselves last time as well. That would be kind of the last album. But it all depends on. This is very seriously speaking now. We told each other earlier on, we've been going for such a long time, and there's a time where we cannot really do this anymore. We're not able. Somebody in the band might get ill. Things happen. I might be not able to move my hand in 2 years. I don't know. I'm over. I'm 60 years old now, but I'm still doing it as good as I still feel young. But so we're trying to cherish every moment we get, and we don't make plans for the future. But let's say it like this. Next year, we're going to go out on a very extensive tour, and we'll see what that brings us. Because if the band still is motivated to do it that way, then I really don't know. But it feels better not to make any big plans for the future. It feels better for me, and it feels better for the rest of the band as well to do it. And let's try to home in on this moment that we are in now, because the album is, we're getting great response. The audience, the fans' response we're getting for the songs are fantastic, and it feeds the motivation of us too. It makes us feel better, and it makes us want to go along, want to continue and stuff like that. But it's not like we have to, because everybody in the band has other working thing going, other occupations with the different things in life. So it's not that we have to, like the bigger bands have to do it because of money, because it's a financial thing. For us, it's not a financial thing at all, because we all have day jobs to go to. We all have good, solid family lives and all that. So it depends on the motivation to actually do it the way. It's really hard to be like. You get to a different part, you get a different stage in your life when you see that, okay, traveling for months in a tour bus is not really what we want to do anymore. Touring is fine, but not in the same way as young bands are used to do it.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Anders, thank you so much for a lot of years of great music.
Thank you.
And good luck with the new album.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.